Can you guys hear me all right? How about now? Is that better? All right. Welcome to Broward County Transit Bus Rapid Transit Industry Day. My name is Evan, and it is a pleasure to have you guys all here. I see so many smiling faces and good conversations going on. And so I'm just so happy to welcome you here today to our event to learn more about Broward County's plans for bus rapid transit. We have a full lineup of speakers today, but first, we always start with our safety briefing and safety announcement, because safety is our top priority. So I'd like to introduce Lee Willis, the Chief Safety and Security Officer for Broward County Transit, to give us the safety briefing. Lee?
Good morning, everybody. So we'll get started. I want to welcome everybody here. So several things just from a housekeeping standpoint. A lot of book bags, purses, duffel bags we may have. Just watch for those in the aisles. If you do need to get up, move around, if you can get them under the seat, that would be great. From the standpoint, if we have an emergency, I'll be responsible to call 911 and get us support and coordinate with security here in the building. If we do need, for any reason, an AED, I will go retrieve that near the elevators and again get assistance. Everyone likely saw them, but if you did not, the restrooms are directly out the way you came in, to the left in the hallway there. Again, in case of emergency for us exiting the room, we have a door emergency exit here down on the main level and the way we all came in. And then there's stairwells right around the corner as we would go before you get to the restrooms, as well as straight down the hallway. So that will be the way we would exit and then muster outside the building. Is there any questions or concerns that anyone does have? Okay, thanks, Evan.
All right, so we have a full lineup and presentation of speakers. From roadway to revenue, we want you to know everything that's happening about the bus rapid transit corridors and the plans that are taking place. So we have a full line of speakers. Ms. Corey Cufflogan, the CEO of Broward County, will give us a welcome in just a few minutes. We'll be hearing from Nathan Williams, Chief Operating Officer. Abhishek Dayal will be giving a series of presentations on PREMO, what is PREMO, the intelligent transportation systems, and some upcoming opportunities and events that will be taking place. We have Graham Carey, who's a consultant on the project team, to give us an overview of what is bus rapid transit and what are the elements that make it so successful. And then Sonia Lovett, the Senior Purchasing Manager, will walk us through what it's like to do business with Broward County. We have our Senior Purchasing Manager here. I'd also like to recognize Kirk Dobson, if he's here. Right here. Thank you, Kirk, for being here and all that you're doing to help us move these projects forward. Kirk is with the Vendor Purchasing Office, so thank you for being here. Well, now I'd like to introduce Corey to come give some welcoming remarks, so please give Corey a warm welcome.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope that you'll find this day to be informative, interesting, and let's say this out loud fun. You know, this is a major opportunity for firms that are interested in doing business with the county, and more importantly, if you're interested in improving the way our residents and visitors get around. Very important that we do that well, and the projects that we're going to talk about today are those that can help us do those well. You're probably aware that we've been intentionally reaching out to the business community very frequently to make sure that you're aware of the opportunities that are out here to work with us and work on these very important transportation initiatives. And so we really appreciate you being here, and know that we will continue these forums. A couple things that we've done more recently is focusing on reaching out to our marketing partners and our industry partners to really get a feel for, how should we develop these programs? How should we move these projects forward? And we want to have a dialogue with industry before we put RFPs out there so we have some additional insights. So it's really important as part of this process that if you have some ideas, concerns, et cetera, that you as the technical experts speak up. We want to hear from you. We want to hear from the technicians. We want this also to be very fair. We want these opportunities to be there for everybody. And the best way to win the work is what? No. then everybody would get a project in the room right now. So good answer though. It's not about showing up. It's about putting in the best proposal, right? The best technical proposal. And then depending on how we package the project, best price. That always depends on what way we're doing this, if we're following Brooks Law and all that other stuff that we have to look at the quals first before we get into the pricing. So at any rate, that's the best way to win work. And part of helping you get good qualified proposals is for you to ask questions so that we can answer them, so that we can get your best work product. Is that fair? Sound like a good deal? Okay, perfect. All right, so just a couple things. I'm sure everybody knows about PREMO, right? If you're in the room, you probably know about it. It's funny. Back in 2023, about 5 years after the surtax was passed, the body of this commission unanimously approved the PREMO program, or PREMO plan, which is now a program because we have 3 projects actively working. I'm sure Abhishek's going to kind of fill you in on those. But we really have some great momentum behind those 3 projects. One of them is the BCR South Commuter Rail project. That's going along really well. We just submitted our application into the New Starts program for engineering, so we're super excited and hopefully, fingers crossed, that we hear good news from our partners in Washington on that. We have our Airport Seaport Connector, which is now in the project development and environmental stage, and we also have our BRT on Oakland Park Boulevard, and so we have some other things that we'll be sharing with you as well. Why BRT and why now? Well, first of all, it is a very highly regarded opportunity to move people in the industry, and it does work. And we've actually seen in practice corridors that have developed with true TODs related to the implementation of BRT. So we've seen development go around BRT. It used to be a perception that if it wasn't rail, it wasn't nailed to the ground, that you really wouldn't see the development follow. But that's not the case anymore. We've got solid examples, and I know many of you in the room are familiar with those examples of where BTR came in and then commercial, residential, and other opportunities, developmental opportunities followed. We do, here in Broward, have 3 corridors that are east-west and 3 corridors that are north-south. And overall, that we're looking at for our BRT program, about $1 billion investment. So PREMO is about inching up to north of $5 billion now, because we've added some projects into the PREMO program, and we've gotten some new pricing and escalation, blah, blah, blah. And so we are looking at, roughly a $5 billion expenditure on that. And from that, those 6 corridors are included in that investment at $1 billion. Today, it's about partnering. It's about working with our business partners to achieve the end goal of providing better mobility for everybody in Broward County and connecting with our partners in Palm Beach and Miami-Dade County. Please pay attention to any upcoming RFPs. Again, we want you to participate. We want to hear from you in terms of your ideas, your thoughts, the things that give you pause, the risks that you're trying to mitigate and you need our help with. We need to know all of that for any of this to be successful. And I encourage you to continue to come to these industry days and the market sounding events that we have. Again, for the last time, I'm going to say this, is we definitely need industry's input on how we move everything forward. I think it's very important. We did this in DC, and we're doing it here as well. We certainly look forward to hearing from everybody. So again, thank you for listening to me. Have a fantastic day, and we appreciate you being here.
Wow, thank you, Corey, for your leadership and the vision that you guys have on the project. I was about to jump out of my chair when I heard $1 billion. It's a very significant investment that Broward County is having, and it's really to the benefit of residents. So please just keep that in mind. And Corey touched on feedback. Feedback is so important. If you came in and got a flyer, we do have a QR code on that for you to give your feedback, to answer a few questions. And please hold your questions till the end of the presentations, as we'll be doing a live Q&A session where you get to answer and ask your most important questions to our panelists that we have behind me. So without further ado, we'll get started with Nathan on an overview of BCT and PREMO, or excuse me, BCT and operations. Thank you.
Let's try this again. Good morning. Glad to see so many smiling faces and potential partners out there. Nathan Williams, again, Chief Operations Officer, going to give you a quick overview just on our operations. As we see, this is our map. This is over 410 miles of service servicing our communities and our neighbors. As you see, we're kind of landlocked. We're bound by the shoreline and the seagrass. Also, our neighbors from the north and south, but that's the community that we are serving and that we want to serve. Understand we run 22 hours a day bus service, and as Corey stated, there are major corridors running both north and south and east and west. As we talk about the service that we provide 36 fixed bus routes and 2 limited stop routes throughout the county, operated by over 780 bus operators and a fleet of 375 buses. And I'm not sure if that sounds a lot to you, but there are hard-working citizens of this county and neighboring counties that put a lot of effort and work into moving our community around. Also, we provide 6 express bus routes that connect Broward County to Miami. And also, we have several different parking rides, and the connections not only throughout the community, but we also connect to our tri-rail stations, the airport, Port Everglades, other convention center, but other attractions throughout the county. Our community shuttle program, we connect 18 different municipalities across, and with about 86 to 90 community shuttle buses, and our paratransit gives door-to-door shared ride services for eligible riders, which entails about 355 community shuttle and paratransit buses as well. And so just understanding how vast our system is, how many buses that we put out on the road on a daily basis, and the community that we serve. In addition, our infrastructure, we run 2 bus garages out of Copens and Ravenswood, our operations and our maintenance, 4 transit terminals, and over 4,000 bus stops. And so understanding how we connect to the community, we are the fiber of the community that not only connects people, places to work, but also to our different attractions. As we talk about operations, there's a new development over in Copens. We are looking to redevelop our bus garage. Copens is one of our first and our heavy lifting bus garage, where we do most of the major maintenance and overhauls. And we're looking to expand. We're building for expansion. The new 200 1,000 square feet building is going to help us expand not only from the 279 buses that we have in Copens to approximately 340 to 350 buses, but that also helps expand our fleet to over 400 buses. The expansion includes upgrades, parking, circulation for our operators and our maintenance staff. And this project ensures long-term operational efficiency and effectiveness for our community. Not only that, throughout operations, we also have a fleet services, and our fleet services helps us with fuel delivery, emergency fueling, and hurricane assistance. We have over 11 fuel sites that they maintain and a million gallons of gas for county, again, in emergency circumstances. And so not only that, that is another part of the operations that we hold near and dear for emergency situations. So I think at that point, I'll pass it over to Abhishek.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you all for coming. So I'm Abhishek Dayal. I'm the Chief Infrastructure Officer. I joined Broward County about 8 months ago, and I am super excited about the PREMO program. I'd love to see the energy here around the room and the people I've talked to about the program. As Corey mentioned in her opening remarks, partnership and feedback is what we really value. This massive program couldn't be done without the partnership from the industry, from your feedback, from your inputs. And so we're really looking forward to having those conversations with you. October 22nd is a kind of a unique date for me because that's where one of my first BRT projects opened on that date. And it just so happens Miami's BRT project is also opening today down south. And then, of course, we decided to have our BRT Industry Day on October 22nd. So I think there's something to do with that date, and maybe it's tied to ribbon cuttings and opening events associated with BRT. So really appreciate having this program here today. So going back to PREMO, our strategy is really simple. It's basically to invest countywide on premium transit network that will provide for that modern, convenient mobility service for our residents, for our tourists, that's attractive, safe, reliable, and frequent. There are goals that essentially anchor us for this PREMO program. Improving mobility for all, that's the goal. The second goal is enhancing economic development and ensuring financial stability, and that might mean not only connecting people to their jobs, to their businesses, to places to to enjoy, shop, and everything, but also opportunities for small, medium, and large businesses to participate in this program. Investments that we make in transportation throughout the county will benefit not only those businesses, but also other companies that choose to relocate here because of all the transportation investments we're looking to make. So that's why it's an important goal as well. Integrating and serving our communities. We have 31 municipalities in Broward County, and each one has its own unique mobility requirements. So we want to make sure we serve all of those communities and really provide that connectivity across the county. Implementing equitable transit solutions. We understand that not everyone uses transportation the same way. Some people walk, some people bike, some people walk and take transit, or drive and then take transit. So we want to make sure we provide that equitable transit solutions that benefits all our folks. And then finally, certainly not the least, improving safety, security, and ensuring environmental stewardship. Whatever we implement, they have to be done in a manner that enhances safety, enhances our security, as well as making sure that we provide these projects, we deliver these projects with environmental stewardship in mind. So many of you are familiar with the PREMO program, but it bears repeating. What we gain is over 200 miles of new premium service. That will give us approximately 23 million annual riders, hopefully even more, with 100% low-emission bus fleet. And that's true particularly for our BRT program that I'm going to talk about a little bit more. We also want to incorporate new ITS technology, and that's something I'm going to cover later down into the presentation on how we incorporate smart technology to make our transportation investments more efficient. And then finally, localized aesthetic and architectural enhancements. I mentioned the various communities that we have within Broward County, each with its own unique character. We want to honor that unique character, and we want to make sure that the investments that we make enhance that, have that localized aesthetic reflected in our transportation investments. Connecting activity centers is going to be key to this program. With direct connections, and this is something that I'm going to talk about in one of the projects, and Corey kind of alluded to that as well on one of our projects, making those direct connections to our economic engines, that will essentially make us the leading intermodal transit providers in the country. You will hear about the project, the Airport Seaport Convention Center connector. That one single project connects 3 major economic engines in our county, serving so many tourists, so many employees, residents, just through that one project. And so projects like these will provide that unique opportunity to connect Broward County's activity centers and really provide that enhanced connection. So here's a table showing how the PREMO program is going to be delivered. We've got 4 different types of services, each with its own advantages and how they provide that type of service, all the way from commuter rail down to high-frequency bus network. So we've got commuter rail, light rail transit, bus rapid transit, and high-frequency bus network. Commuter rail, as again Corey mentioned, Broward Commuter Rail South project. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. We're super excited about the advancements we've made on that project. The light rail transit, that's the Airport Seaport Convention Center project that I mentioned briefly, and a little bit more about that. Bus rapid transit, well, that's what we're here to talk about a little bit more. So that's definitely something we're going to emphasize on. And then the high-frequency bus network. In some cases, all of our high ridership routes, we want to make sure that we can provide additional service, enhanced frequency on those corridors so that our ridership can be further increased on those major corridors. The commuter rail and light rail service, those are all on fixed guideway with train tracks. Commuter rail obviously will utilize freight railroad tracks. Light rail transit will be putting in new tracks for light rail vehicles. Bus rapid transit will be looking at dedicated or semi-dedicated bus lanes wherever it's feasible along the corridors. And then the high-frequency service will be enhancing the frequency on those major routes. So again, you might have been familiar with the PREMO program. This is a map that shows all our routes or our proposed corridors. The yellow/orange lines, those indicate the Broward Commuter Rail projects. 26 miles, and as Corey mentioned, we added BCR North, which will essentially extend the extents of BCR South up north to the county line at the Palm Beach county line. So that'll bring the total number of miles to 26. Light rail transit is going to be 23.3 miles. Those are indicated here in pink or salmon color. The bus rapid transit corridors, those are indicated here in the blue, dark blue colors. And you will notice there are 3 north-south BRT corridors and 3 east-west BRT corridors. More to come on that. And then finally, the high-frequency bus network. That's the 100 miles of high-frequency buses that will be running as part of the PREMO network. Those are indicated in this map by the green color. So starting off with the BCR South, this is the regional connection between Broward and Miami-Dade counties, a total of 11.5 miles of commuter rail. This will be primarily on the FEC rail corridor. We are proposing 3 stations as part of this project, one in Hollywood, the Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport, and then one within the city of Fort Lauderdale, with the annual ridership expected to be between 1.2 and 4.8 million if you include the Miami-Dade line coming from south. We are expected to open this project by the end of 2032. We've been heavily engaged with the Federal Transit Administration since that's the funding that we're seeking as part of their New Starts Capital Investment Grant Program. And I know Corey mentioned this, but I want to repeat this again. We are super excited to submit our application to FTA into the next phase of the CIG program, which is the engineering phase. And that's the phase where FTA's funding gets locked in as part of the overall project. We had a really robust risk assessment a few months ago with FTA staff, and that's where we arrived at the $712 million cost estimate for this project, which has gone up, but we are working with FTA to make sure we can advance this project onto that next phase and then beyond. We will be looking into getting into the design and then eventually construction phase in the next couple of years to begin the revenue service in 2032. The Airport Seaport Convention Center, that's another project. Again, Corey mentioned this in her opening remarks, the light rail segment. This will be the first light rail segment that will connect the Fort Lauderdale International Airport, the Port Everglades, and the Broward County Convention Center in downtown Fort Lauderdale. It's about 3.5 miles of light rail with 3 stations. We are envisioning primarily an elevated guideway, and the good thing about this project is the entire corridor, including the stations, are primarily on Broward County property. Since Broward County owns the airport, the seaport, as well as the convention center, so that makes things a lot more manageable in terms of the overall project. We are looking to extend this further west. That's something I'm going to talk about in the next couple of slides. The projected opening is in 2032. We recently issued a notice to proceed to begin the PD&E phase for this project. We'll be seeking FTA participation similar to the BCR South project, and we'll be applying for the CIG grant project, a grant program for funding for this project as well. The estimated investment is about $1.25 billion, which does not include the maintenance facility, which we'll have to construct as part of this project. So that's something that we'll have to factor in and review as part of the PD&E study for this project. Extending this further would be the downtown connection light rail. So this will basically bring the light rail corridor further into downtown with 3 additional miles. And we're looking at tracks and stations at the street level, and that's something that we'll be evaluating as part of our feasibility study. In fact, that's something that we hope to start here in the next couple months. A feasibility study to really understand, given the constrained right-of-way and the constrained environment in downtown Fort Lauderdale, how this would work, not only going through downtown Fort Lauderdale, but even extending beyond downtown Fort Lauderdale as the light rail heads west towards the western portion of the county. The anticipated ridership that we did pretty early on into the PREMO program is between 1.7 to 2.7 million. Projected opening that we show right now is 2034, towards the end of 2034, with the estimated investment of $442 million. And then finally, on the third leg that we'll be looking at, again, this is something we'll be studying as part of the feasibility assessment, is further west by another 4 miles of light rail along Broward Boulevard. And this will essentially take it from downtown Fort Lauderdale all the way out to SR7. And from there, we'll be looking at further extensions out west. You can kind of see that on the map here with the dashed lines. There are a couple of options that we are looking to see how we can extend it even beyond SR7, taking it all the way out to the Sawgrass Mills Mall into the city of Sunrise. So all of that will be considered as part of the initial feasibility study that we will be performing here in the next couple of months, and that will essentially inform us on what the next steps are on those light rail segments. The projected opening that we are showing right now is towards the end of 2035, with the estimated investment of about $930 million. So moving on to the BRT program. So the Oakland Park BRT, that's a project that we are actively working on with our project team here. And I see a lot of the team members here. Thank you for your support. So this Oakland Park BRT will connect it's the first east-west BRT project. This will connect the Sawgrass Mills Mall all the way out east to A1A on Ocean Boulevard. 15 miles length of bus rapid transit, primarily along Oakland Park, with 16 branded stations, exclusive transit lanes. We are actively looking at where transit lanes would be feasible. Portions of this corridor are county-owned, and then portions are FDOT-owned, so we're working with our partners to make sure we can accommodate those transit lanes along the corridor. We are going to be, this corridor essentially goes through 6 communities. So as you can imagine, we are doing a lot of coordination with the 6 communities, certainly with our county partners, the other departments, and FDOT to make this project feasible. The annual ridership we're looking at is between 2.4 to 3.2 million riders. Projected opening is 2030. So another 5 years, and investment estimated cost is about $284 million. The good thing about this project is, certainly it's a very high ridership corridor already. Route 72 is one of the highest ridership routes in our system. So we definitely see a lot of benefits in providing this type of service that our not only existing riders will utilize, but also some of our new riders would like to try out on this corridor. And then the second thing is this corridor is completely locally funded with tax funding. So we have the ability to really implement this project here quickly. And that's why you see that shortened time frame to have this implemented by 2030. Hopefully not too far behind that Oakland Park BRT project would be the first north-south corridor, which is along US 441 SR7. And this will connect all the activity centers between Commercial Boulevard on the northern end to the County Line Road to the south, with 15 miles of BRT, with certainly the 16 branded stations, exclusive transit lanes where feasible. And again, this is a DOT corridor, so we'll have to work with FDOT to make sure we can accommodate those lanes, dedicated lanes, as well as the stations. And you can also see on this map there are potential for light rail connections, especially those extensions that I talked about, as well as the high-frequency bus network, which also runs along SR7. It picks up from where the BRT corridor ends and takes it further north. Anticipated annual ridership is between 1.6 million to 3 million. Projected opening is 2033, with the investment expected to be about 231 million. Now, this is a corridor along with the other 4 corridors. We will be seeking federal funding through the CIG program. So that's something that we'll be making sure that the PD&E phase, as well as the subsequent phases, allows for the CIG steps and the requirements for the CIG program. The next north-south BRT corridor will be along Powerline Road. This will connect all the activity centers between Broward Boulevard and goes all the way north to Sample Road. It includes 10.5 miles of BRT with 10 branded stations, exclusive transit lanes where feasible, and then we'll basically supplement this corridor with the fixed local routes system. Particularly to serve areas where the BRT stations are far apart. Annual ridership is between 1.4 to 2.5 million. Early 2034 is what we're projecting for opening for this project. And the estimated cost is about close to 200 million. And I should also mention that beyond Oakland Park, we are going to be doing PD&E studies on the remaining 5 corridors, and more to come on the PD&E scope of work in a couple of slides. But this project is also going to be seeking FTA funding through the CIG program. So again, we'll make sure that the PD&E phase allows for the CIG requirements that will be important for this project. The next north-south corridor will be the University Drive BRT, and this is 16 miles of BRT between Sample Road and, Commercial Boulevard all the way down to the county line. And then from Commercial Boulevard all the way to Sample Road, there will be more investments in the existing route. That's the high-frequency bus network that will take folks further north. We have 16 branded stations that we're looking at with exclusive transit lanes where feasible. Between the ridership that we're looking at is 2 million to 3 million. And then the projected opening would be mid-2034. Estimated investment is about $334 million. And again, just like the other corridors, this is also going to be seeking FTA CIG funding. And so again, PD&E that we will be doing will need to accommodate those requirements for FTA. Moving on to some of the east-west corridors. The first east-west corridor beyond Oakland Park would be Commercial Boulevard BRT that connects essentially SR7 out all the way to SR7 and out east. This is about 5.5 miles on either side of this 5.5 mile corridor. We'll be enhancing the bus service with the high-frequency bus network. And that will essentially bring folks from SR7 all the way to Sawgrass Mills Mall. And then out east, it will take folks all the way to A1A. We are envisioning about 10 branded stations with exclusive transit lanes. And this is also another corridor that you can see on the map. There is potential for a lot of connectivity through light rail, the light rail extensions, the high-frequency bus network. So we see a lot of connectivity and multimodal connection options on this corridor. This will be another project that we'll be seeking FTA funding through their CIG programs. And then the ridership potential, we're looking at between 600 to 900,000. The projected opening is end of year 2035. This short corridor, we are looking at about $113 million in estimated investment. And then finally, the last BRT corridor and the third east-west corridor, that's along Sunrise Boulevard. So this will essentially connect the Sawgrass Mills Mall out west to A1A, essentially the same extent as the Oakland Park BRT, but on Sunrise Boulevard with 14 miles of BRT improvements. with 12 branded stations. And we're looking at exclusive transit lanes wherever it's feasible, with potential for interface with light rail extension. So ridership potential that we're looking at is between 1.7 million to 2.6 million. The projected opening is the end of year of 2036. Estimated investment is about 240 million. And again, this also project we envision utilizing FTA CIG funding, FTA participation. So the PD&E phase that we'll be incorporating will have to include all the FTA clauses and requirements for CIG requirements. So here's a snapshot of the 15-year program. It's a fairly robust program, needless to say, and you can see all the projects that are shown here. Right now, you can note that most of these are primarily in the planning and PD&E phase, and I'd like to change that to design and construction here pretty quickly. Hopefully, the next time we present this sheet, you'll see some of those in design and some of those in construction. I see Corey nodding her head, and certainly we want to make sure that we can do that, and of course with your support, with your assistance, and move these projects forward. A little bit about the high-frequency network. As I noted, that's 100 miles of improvements throughout the county, and these are the corridors that we're looking at, including when we plan on implementing the service. Sample Road and Hollywood Boulevard, those will be implemented next year. US 1 on both the south and the north segments in 2027. The Atlantic and the Sheridan Street, the east-west corridors, those will be implemented in 2028. And then finally, Dixie Highway will be implemented in 2029. These high-frequency corridors, again, they provide that local bus service where there is already a high demand for our corridors. And we'll be looking at this more closely in terms of where that demand is, what times of the day, which direction the demand is, so that we can make sure that that's where we really put in those investments and even grow that ridership along those corridors. We'll be working with our service planning team to help implement this project here quickly. So to summarize this is truly going to be a transformational effort. I think we all agree that this will really redefine a service delivery, mobility, and connectivity throughout Broward County. And you know, it bears repeating. At the end of the day, once this is all done, we will have 200 miles of premium service and commuter rail, light rail, bus rapid transit, high-frequency bus network. It's going to be, it's going to really provide that additional service that will help people move from one end of the county seamlessly to the other, connecting all those major economic centers, those activity centers, those communities, those 31 communities, and enhancing economic development potential throughout the county. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Graham Carey to talk about what is BRT.
Thank you, Abhishek, and good morning. I'm Graham Carey, the subject matter expert on the Oakland Park Boulevard. Can you hear me with this over here? Okay. Thank you. Is that better? Yep. Super. Well, let's talk about BRT, and as my kids would call it, public transportation with a glow up. And by the way, that's my only attempt to sound cool to the under 30s in the audience this morning. So, yeah, in my mind, BRT is a high capacity transit mode that looks sharp, runs on time, and doesn't cost a fortune. It's basically fast, flexible, and runs frequently. So basically, it's the overachiever of the bus world, if I put it that way. So why is BCT following or introducing bus rapid transit? Well, actually, the transit riders have changed. Their expectations have changed. Now riders just don't, it's not just a ride they want a ride that respects their time. We live in a world at the moment where, it's one-tap shopping, same-day delivery, everything's instant, and our passengers want that as well in their transportation. They want direct transportation, they want speed, they want reliability, and they want it now. And BRT is designed to meet those expectations without necessarily maxing out the county's credit card. So, when we talk about BRT, it's sort of new to the city of Fort Lauderdale, but it's not new in the US. Just about every city with a population of over 100,000 has either got a BRT system, is building a BRT system, or is planning one. So it's not a trend, it's almost a movement. BRT is basically the avocado toast of the transit world. Everybody wants to get in on it. So let's take a step back and look at the origins of BRT. About 20 years ago, some city planners got together and they had this dream of, let's give people slick, fast, reliable transit. Then they looked at the budget and said, uh-oh, doesn't look like it's going to be trains here. At that time, light rail was the cool kid on the block. It was shiny, it was sleek, but it was also very expensive. So for many communities, building rail was like installing a hot tub in your studio apartment. Great idea, expensive, complicated, not really that practical. So transit leaders around the country started being creative. And they said, what if we made buses feel like trains? And boom, BRT was born at that point. Rail-like service on rubber tires. There we go. It was sort of a way of almost, the way I put it is, it's like ordering champagne on a beer budget, if I put it that way. Forget my slides here. So let's take a sort of a look under the hood of what BRT is. It's sort of this integration of a bunch of different features. It's got sort of brains, it's got smart technologies on board the vehicles and at stations. It's got the brawn, it's got the dedicated right-of-ways, and it's got the beauty in terms of it's slick, the stations are nice. Basically, if public transportation had a dating profile, I think BRT would have the most swipes right on this one. So let's talk about some of the components that make up BRT. There's the vehicles, there's the stations, there's the signal priority. However, the one element that's the sort of MVP of BRT is the dedicated lanes. These allow the buses to move through the traffic. It's like they're moving like they're trying to get somewhere where they really are. No more playing bumper cars in rush hour traffic. So it's sort of like a VIP pass to cities. Now, dedicated lanes come in various forms and various positions within the right-of-way. Some have red-like lanes that make them look like sort of transit runways almost. Others are curbed off, others don't have curbs, and some places even stick grass in the middle. But there's more to the lanes than just moving the bus quickly. The lanes themselves send a message to the community, and that is basically that transit lives here. It's a statement by the community that they support transit and they want it to be successful. Next part of the system I'd like to talk about is the stations. Because it's not just about the ride, it's about the experience. And stations, in my mind, are almost like the checkouts at grocery stores. You know, people don't use the checkout at the grocery stores because they like that robotic voice that keeps telling you that an unidentified item in the back-in area, please remove, you know, which always happens to me. They actually use the checkout because in the world that we live in at the moment, we're constantly being monitored and manipulated in some ways. I mean, if you speak to your phone sometime and you talk about some item that you're about to buy, the next moment you got ads on it. You got all these things, and in some ways, people use the checkout, the checkout at grocery stores because it gives them some sort of control in their day. You know, they're doing something. They feel like they got some power. And the same thing goes with when you get on a BRT bus at a station. The bus comes up to the station, there's multiple doors open. You can choose which door you want to use to get on board. It's sort of empowering in that way. You can also choose how you pay your fare. You can pay it at the machine, you can pay it on your phone. You don't have to file past the operator. We have level boarding, which enables those folks with mobility challenges to get on board easily. It gives them dignity, which is well received by them. The stations can take various forms. There's a selection of them shown here, depending on what the community's needs are, what their environmental conditions are. You can see the various types of stations and shapes there that we have. On these stations, there's also lots of amenities here. We have passenger information systems, we have security systems, we have PA systems, all sorts of things that enhance the journey for people using transit. We also have the fare collection system. Here's a couple of vending machines on BRT stations. One other thing we have is transit signal priority. This allows the buses to get through intersections. It's almost like the traffic signal is cooperating with the bus in some sort of way. It shortens the green time, or shortens the red time to allow a longer green on one face for the bus to get through, and it alters that signal so things can keep moving. One other thing or a couple of other things I want to mention is also the marketing of BRT. For a long time, bus transportation was sort of almost deemed by those operating it as like a utility. There was no need to market the service. People always knew it's there. You could use it whenever you wanted. With BRT, they've sort of recognized that we're actually in competition with other modes out there, whether it's cars, whether it's the Ubers, bicycles, skateboards, you name it. There's a need to compete to get those passengers. And now we're looking at, BRT looks at this as, BRT looks at the mode as a product, almost like your soap powder. I don't know if you've ever noticed, if you listen to the ads out there, you know, this, your soap powder, one year it's washing blue, and then they try to rebrand it, and now it's washing white, and you know, I'm sure it's the same damn product. They're marketing it in a different way, and bus transit needs to look at its service in that way. We need to compete for our passengers. And then lastly, I want to talk a little bit about transit-oriented development. As Abhishek mentioned, we've got all these lines coming together. We're looking at locations and where we can concentrate development that is served by transit. This is smart development. This is development where we're going to contain sprawl within our community. It's development that's accessible to people. So that's a big part of this project as well. So, turning to my original question, or the original statement, what is BRT? And I like to think of BRT as the clever cousin of light rail transit. It's got the same benefits, fewer headaches, and yes, it runs on rubber tires. It's a kind of transit that understands that it understands a passenger's schedule, it respects their time, and it gives them just enough control in their day that they think like they're winning it. So I'd like to leave it there and hand it over back to Abhishek.
Thank you, Graham. So as you can imagine, a lot of the elements that Graham talked about on what is BRT, what makes it successful, those I see as opportunities for you all, for the vendors, for the contractors, for consultants. How can we accommodate all of those into our program? Whether it's dedicated lanes, passenger information screens, ticket vending machines, cameras, technologies, transit signal priority. How can we accommodate all of those benefits into our program to make them unique, to make them stand out, make them enticing and attractive for not only our existing riders, but also our community, our businesses to embrace? And intelligent transportation systems is also another way to kind of harness that support from the community. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the ITS opportunities that our team already is working on that will support our BRT program. And so some of the IT projects, and before I mention that, I do want to recognize some of the IT team that are sitting up in the front, and they'll help me answer any questions on some of the ongoing projects and how we plan on advancing these projects. But these projects are integral to the BRT program, and so we wanted to highlight those as part of this event. So some of the projects that we're working on, the CAD AVL, or computer-aided dispatch and automatic vehicle location, that is a key component to not only our existing system, but also to our BRT program. So we are looking to have that replaced here in the next couple of years. This is going to be essentially a core function for our operations and service delivery. So the current solution that was implemented back in 2014, and we are looking to have an RFP out by early next year to have that CAD AVL updated. As you can imagine, the CAD AVL is like the brains for the operations, for bus operations in particular. It tells us when the next bus is coming. It helps with the scheduling. And there are just so many functions, so many uses of that technology. The next one is the automatic passenger counters on our buses. That's a very, very critical, almost like a default requirement for our bus operations, including BRT. That's another thing that we'll be looking to invest in and advancing so that all our fleet, including our BRT buses, have an ability to accurately, effectively count the number of passengers that we're getting, not only for FT reporting, but also to highlight, to show where some of our more productive routes are, where the opportunities are to really provide more service in our system. The third one is our passenger information screens, the signage. And as Graham mentioned on BRT, that's actually one of the signature elements of a BRT station. When people come to a BRT station, they want to know when the next bus is coming. Did they just miss it, or are they come here right on time? As well as any additional information that they might need to know before the bus arrives. I know when I travel with my family to a different city, I like to ride the bus, I like to ride the train system, but I need to know ahead of time, how do I pay for this service? what time the bus will arrive, when do I get up, get off the bus. All of that information, you can actually get that right while you're waiting for your bus to arrive or your train to arrive at the station. So the passenger information screens are super important and critical. And that's something that our IT team is also going to be working on in advancing, not only for our BRT program, but also some of our bus stops, existing bus stops across the system. And then finally, the fare collection system. That fare collection system has evolved over many, many years. It's still evolving. Of course, we will have the ability to have people pay their fares with cash, but there are other ways that people can pay their fares. A lot of times people don't have change. Buses, the drivers won't give them the change back if you stick a $10 bill into the fare box. So how well can they pay? Can they pay using Apple Pay or Google Pay or contactless payment systems or through a phone? I think all of those fare collection systems is also something that we're going to be working with our IT team on as we advance the BRT program. As Graham mentioned, in our BRT program, we're looking at all-door boarding. So just like a train, when the train arrives at the station, all the doors open and you can just walk in and out and you can pay your fare either as you're walking into the bus, or you can pay right at the platform and you just have to show your proof of payment onboard the onboard bus system. So that's another big component of advancing the BRT program, and we wanted to highlight that as part of this event. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Sonia Vett to talk about procurement.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Good morning. So, before we get started, I just wanted, by show of hands, how many of you in the audience are registered to do business with Broward County? Oh, I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm very happy to see that so many of you are registered. And that's the key component, is you don't know what you don't know, right? So we're talking about a lot of great projects that are coming in the future for Broward County. And one way is, of course, to attend forums like this. And also the best way is, of course, to register to do business with Broward County and get the information when it comes out and it's ready to be for you to submit proposals or do whatever you need to do to see what's going on. So we're going to talk a little bit about registration, what you need to do when you review solicitation, requirements for compliance, and also doing some research, because it's not only just registering, but also know what you're going to get into as far as what's available out there and the best way to submit a winning proposal. Corey talked about that this morning. The best thing is to have a competitive proposal and one that can ultimately lead to an award. So you register outside the door. For those of you who did not get the opportunity to register as yet, we do have a banner outside, and we also, if you can use your cell phones to click on the QR code that's right up on the screen, it will take you to registration on our Broward County website. But also outside, it's out there. We have a new e-procurement system. Some folks may think that it's a little challenging, but it really isn't. There's a lot of information out there on the purchasing website that would help you with registering to do business. So if you're not registered as yet, take some time to scan the QR code. If you don't get an opportunity to do it now, you can also do it on the way out. There is a banner outside of the room. So, once again, you register. And register underneath your company name. The company name, that's also going to show up on your certificate of insurance, the way you register on SunBiz, the way your EIN number is registered as well, because when we're going out there to do business, we want to make sure that we are talking to the folks that is actually the company that you're representing. Another hiccup, and I'm just going to give little tips as I move through this. If you recently changed your name, you have a DBA, all these things can be hiccups as we move along the award process. So if you recently changed your name, go back into the system and re-register under your new company name so that when you submit your proposal, that we're not chasing to figure out what the relationship is, that on your proposal you said one thing, on Sunbiz it says something else, your certificate of insurance, it shows a different name, you went from LLC to Inc. Those type of little things are hiccups that come a long way that we want to ensure that folks are taken care of ahead of time. Another thing, once you get into the system, the way you get notifications from our e-procurement system called UNA Procurement, we also call it BPRO, is by selecting the NIGP code that represents the service or the product that you provide. So if you're in your architecture and engineering, there's going to be a slew of codes that you select that say that I am an architect, or I am a painter. I provide whatever services it may be, consulting services. And I would also tell you that if you're a subcontractor and you want to do business with Prime, make sure that you're registering under the codes that may be with a Prime. That's the way that you also get notifications when a solicitation that's going out that a Prime will bid on, but you also know that they may need subcontracting for those services. So you'll get emails once you register with the NIGP code. It's same codes that, or commodity codes we also call it, that if you do business with the federal government, it's the same codes that are used for state Florida registration for their vendor bid system, the way that we do it for Broward County. The Fed also use codes, and those commodity codes is how you say, okay, I do this business. Whenever there's a solicitation coming out on the street, it's going to send you an email. And another thing about email, while it's great to have maybe a secretary or someone do all the registration for you, the emails are only going to the person who provides that email. So if you have a company-wide emails that says, let's say, business ABC doing bids.org or whatever it is, let it be a generic email that everyone has access to, that someone is actually monitoring, because we will also use that email for communication later on. So make sure it's a viable email, that you get in the notifications, and that you can also have communication back and forth with the department, with the purchasing department. So solicitation requirements, you always want to review those bid comments that come out there, because it gives little tidbits of whatever. Let's say there's some additional requirements like living wage, or there may be some FDA requirements associated with this, or location services, CBE requirements. So you look at the bid comments, read them to see if there's any information, additional information you need to pay attention to. Locate the standard or special instructions. Vendors, read those documents, because that's very important as far as requirements to submit proposals or bids. Be familiar with any county ordinances. I mentioned living wage, CBE, SBE requirements, bond as well. Does it require for a bond for you to submit a proposal? Is a payment performance bond later required once you get awarded? Make sure that you are familiar with those bond requirements. Insurance as well. And one of the biggest hiccups, make sure that you always put in us as additionally insured on your insurance requirements when you're submitting your insurance, because that's a lot of back and forth that we have to do as well. FTA, once again, Abhishek mentioned that a lot of these projects are going to be supported by FTA funds. And if you've done business with any FTA funds, there's additional requirements related to that. It may be Buy America, there's lobbying, there's other requirements for FTA that you want to make sure that you're submitting those forms. It's a simple fill out the form, say that you will comply. You want to say you comply, don't say you don't comply, that you will comply with the FDA or the Buy America requirements, because not submitting that form with your proposal will reject you from being considered. So you want to make sure that you fill out all the forms and check off all the boxes, sign all the forms, and return it with your submittals. Licensing requirements as well. From time to time, you may need to have a general contractor license. There may be some other qualifications that's like FDOT pre-qualifications of a prime, and it's always going to be most likely the prime that needs to have those qualifications, not your subcontractors. So make sure that you're paying attention to those requirements. So what to look for? If you're doing an RFP, there will be a pre-advertisement that goes out on our BPO. So if you're registered, you'll get the email. It will let you know that Broward County is planning on doing a solicitation for X. You'll get that pre-advertisement if you're properly registered. Please attend pre-bid proposal meetings. It's very important. That's where you can get all your questions answered in room with folks that are actually looking to get your services. So if you have any questions, burning questions that you need answered without having to wait to submit the question in the Q&A, do it at the pre-bid and the proposed meeting. Very rarely do we make them mandatory, but if they are, you need to attend to make sure that you can submit a proposal. Approved equals, if there's something that requires a certain type of product and you want to give something similar, make sure you follow those approved equals requirements. Once again, special instructions and goal requirements. If it's surtax funded, there's going to be a CBE goal that you may need to subcontract with a CBE provider. I think at this time it's 25% for 35%? Okay, 35% for surtax funded, so make sure that if you're not a CBE, that you are reaching out to subs that are CBE registered. So local ordinances, that's important. Living wage, if it's anything $100,000 or more annually for certain commodities or services, you will need to make sure you're paying your staff living wage. CBE and SBE goals also may apply, especially for surtax funded solicitations. So make sure that you're paying attention to that and any other local preferences that may apply to the solicitation. FTA forms, once again, Buy America. If you're doing business with us, FTA requires that anything, I think, $150,000 or more, there may be Buy America requirements attached to it if it's manufactured products or rolling stock. So it's not just for buying buses, it's for other things, IT, whatever it may be. If it's something that we are purchasing that's a commodity that's over $150,000 and it's FTA funded, there might be some Buy America requirements attached to it. Lobbying, department forms, vendor opportunity list is where we ask for you to fill out certain information to report back to the FTA and also for OSBD. And any other supplemental acknowledgement certification form, that's if you're acknowledging that there's an FTA supplement that's attached to it and that you are filling it out or returning all the required documents. So you found the solicitation, now what? The best thing to do is always to research. There's a wealth of information on the Broward County Purchasing website that you can find previous solicitations, current solicitations, previous awards. We also have a dashboard where you can look at spend analysis, all the current contracts. You don't necessarily need to do a public records request to find out who got the contract previously or what was the rates that we were paying for previously. It's always there. It's on the Broward County Purchasing website. So you want to review any currently awarded open-end contracts. Review the advertised solicitation. If there's any questions, there's a Q&A component in all our solicitations that you can ask all the questions that you need to ask. You can always email the purchasing agent that's on that solicitation if you have any additional information that you may need. And always look at our past contracts if it's something that we are buying. Once again, you can go and look and see, like I said, what we paid for previously who the current vendor is, any of those requirements or anything you need to do. A very important thing also is looking at any active or archived RFPs. So you want to see what the proposal that somebody else submitted 3 years ago for the same project, you can go and take a look at their proposal. It's available. So once again, if you awarded contracts, you can look down at the bottom of the purchasing website. It will give you our current contracts if you want to take a look at it. Our website is www.browardorg.org/purchasing, and look at the bottom, it says current and open-end contracts. And if you want to see our advertised solicitations, you can go on our website as well. Right at the top, it says PREMO. That's the name of our e-procurement system, and you can find our current solicitations there as well. And once again, I talked about the archived or current RFPs or requests for information. You can find that on the website under active RLI RFP or archived RLI RFPs. You can see RFPs from, you can see the CAT AVL from 2014, I think, in archived. So if you're interested in seeing how did it, over 10 years ago, you can go out there and take a look at the scope, look at who won the proposal. And so there's a lot of information that you're not going in the dark. It's a wealth of information out there for you to take a look at. Once again, BPRO is our new system. If you're new to BPRO, there is a lot of trainings that's available for you if you want to know how to walk through the system. One thing I would say, one of the limitations of BPRO that you have to be aware of, if you're using UNA, I think they bought out a couple of other e-procurement systems, and you may be registered with them through other agencies. You're not going to be able to see Broward County if you don't register for Broward County. So if you're using the system for something else and you're interested in doing business with Broward County, you must register through Broward County. That way you'll see the availability of all our solicitations. You may go out there and see them, but you can't really see them, if you know what I mean. You can't go in it, you can't do a proposal or anything like that. So if you want to get business for Broward County, you have to register under Broward County. And it's free. Just want to let everyone know that it's free to the public. Please use it, and because it's a great project. I'm sorry, before I move it on to Abhishek. We introduced Kirk Dobson earlier from our vendor management office. I'm just going to ask Kirk to just stand up very quickly. Sorry to put you on the spot. But Kirk Dobson is new to purchasing, and we have a new vendor management office. So if you have any complaints, go to Kirk. But he works really well with getting the community involved in what we do. He can be reached at VMO@purchasing.org. VMO, say it again. You heard that, right? So if you have any questions about doing business with Broward County and purchasing and vendor management, Kirk's your guy. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia. Great presentation. I just wanted to echo what Sonia said in terms of registering, because we rely on the vendor registration list to send information about this event, about some of the other opportunities, and we wanted to hold these series of events more often so that there are no surprises. When one of the things that I heard in talking to many of you is, it's by the time the solicitation hits the street, it's too late. You're kind of scampering to put the teams together, put the package together, proposals together. So these events are opportunities to really provide what's coming up. Right, and then there's some that are held by OESPD, included with partnerships with purchasing. So the ways to kind of let you know about what's happening about these events is through those vendor registration lists. And so please do register if you haven't already. We, of course, will have the information on social media as well as on our website as well. So I just wanted to echo that comment that Sonia said. And then she also made provided some great tips on past procurements, looking at, what was the procurement awarded previously, and maybe some of the kind of elements might be into the new procurement that's coming up. So please be on the lookout for that as well. So now looking at some of the opportunities and events that are coming up. So we are looking at, for BRT specifically, we are looking at a general engineering contract. So if you recall, as part of my presentation, we have 5 corridors besides the Oakland Park Boulevard project that we are going to be doing PD&E work on. So this GC contract, and we are looking to do a multi-award contract. We're not quite sure how many, but we will be doing some additional contracts for this particular work. That will be essentially helping us with a lot of these PD&Es, those FTA compliant, the ones that we're going to be going for CIG funding for the 5 BRT corridors. This is going to be the contract that will be looking to help us move to that next phase. We do have a program management consultant on board, and the team will be working with that program management consultant to really advance those projects forward. So again, this one is coming up in the first part of 2026. We'll be working with procurement and our legal team to get that out. Again, we'll have plenty of notifications prior to hitting the street so that you all will be prepared, because this is important to us, and we want to make sure we get the right amount of competition. We get plenty of interest from the community on this particular contract. Another one that I mentioned early on in my presentation was some of those ITS projects. The CAD AVL system that we're looking to replace, the one that we bought back in 2014, we are looking to replace that. So that is going to be coming out as well in the first quarter of 2026, as well as those APC projects, the automatic passenger counters on our buses. We want to make sure that all our buses are equipped with the automatic passenger counters to provide us that accurate count of the people using our system. Oakland Park BRT. Now, this is a project that, if you all recall, is all locally funded. So we would like to advance this project on to the next phase here pretty quickly. We are looking to complete 30% design here in the next several months. And so we'd like to move to that next phase, and we're contemplating a progressive design build approach for the Oakland Park Boulevard BRT project. And so we'll have some opportunities associated with this contracting method for you all to provide feedback on this. Regarding Oakland Park, as I noted, it's 100% surtax funding. We are looking to do a market sounding event here in the next couple of months. This market sounding event, we did that pretty successfully last month for the West Copans bus garage that Nate had talked about as part of his presentation. We got some terrific feedback, great turnout from contractors, vendors, consultants. We also had one-on-one conversations with some of the contractors to really talk about constructability, some of the risks, and we'd like to kind of use that same approach for Oakland Park BRT project as well. This will be our first BRT project, and we wanted to do it right. We wanted to make sure we get that feedback, listen to the community, consultant community, and perhaps incorporate that into some of our solicitation documents, into our project approaches, the schedule, and so on and so forth. So again, please be on the lookout for the Market Sounding event. And again, echoing to what Sonia said, please register. We want to make sure we have a nice, long vendor list that we can reach out to and talk to them about this upcoming event and other opportunities. And there are other ways to stay engaged as well. Of course, Oakland Park is one project, but we've got several other projects that are coming up on the pipeline. So a lot of that information will be provided on our website on not only the project updates, but also upcoming opportunities, particularly as it relates to solicitation. For Oakland Park, you can also email us at opbbrt@broward.org. So this is kind of some of our upcoming opportunities, and these are catering mostly to the BRT program. There are other opportunities out there too, and we'll be working with purchasing to make sure that those are highlighted on their website as it relates to some of our other projects, whether it's the light rail or the Airport Seaport Convention Center or the BCR South project. As well as some of our other facility projects. So that's kind of the extent of my presentation. I'll turn it over to Evan to take it to that next part. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much to our speakers for your time, and thank you all for coming out. We'd like to get started with our Q&A portion. And so if you've been taking notes, there has been a lot of information that we've provided, and we'll send this back out to you as a good practice so that you can see the presentation, look at it in a little bit more detail. So we're really just here to provide those resources to you. I guess I'll start us off with the first question, if we don't mind. We talked a little bit about some of the features and amenities that BRT has compared to just regular service. How are you hoping that this really attracts new riders, or what do you see as, in your expertise, as amenities that really attract riders and to gain ridership?
Let me take the first stab at that one. I think the amenities really go to that point I mentioned of having control over your day a bit more. So people like to be able to get to the station, know when the buses are running, be able to buy their ticket. One of the other points I'd like to bring up is that more than half of the passengers are female. And for female riders, the most important factor is safety at these stations. So we have cameras, we have emergency buttons potentially on the platforms, but ways to communicate when there's an incident happening. So those are the sort of things that we feel like will attract passengers to the service and make it different from anything else we now operate.
The other thing I'll probably add is visibility is important. We want to make sure that we're making this investment in BRT. It's actually visible. The community and people, whether they're tourists who are from out of town, can actually see that there's this premium service that they have access to that they can utilize to go from one end to another. I think that is also a very important component of the project.
And last but not least, frequency. As we talk about getting from point A to B, speed is one thing. People love the express for a reason. Is to be able to jump on the highway and go from point A to point B and skip traffic. So just imagine on a bus with dedicated lanes to be able to get from point A to point B with skipping, not having as many frequent stops, not having to wait for traffic lights or be behind the car trying to make a right. Just being able to get to where you're trying to go. And so
I think everyone can appreciate that, certainly. Is this Can you guys hear me all right? All right, I think we have a question right here.
Hello, my name is Ryan Mack. I'm a business development manager with the Init Group. Thank you all so much for the information. My question is on the fare collection side regarding the new BRT. Is it explicitly planned to be a gated tap-on, tap-off system?
So right now we're evaluating some of those options, whether it's going to be gated or if it's going to be an open system, tap on, tap off. We've looked at ticket vending machines as an option with the proof of fare, proof of payment system that we've seen in other BRT systems as well. So those are things that we are actually evaluating in partnership with Nate and certainly our safety team, because we want to make sure those systems can actually be maintained, and all of the things that we're incorporating, those are safe to use, easy to use. So that's more to come on that, I guess, is the short answer.
No, absolutely. Thank you. And, you mentioned the contactless payments and the open payments, of course, is part of what you are looking into. Are virtual cards inside of mobile wallets also considered there, like Samsung Wallet, the Apple Wallet, and the Android?
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, my name is Nikki Reed. I'm with Precision Technology Recruitment, and I'm curious if the ITS recs come through BPRO, or is that separate and distinct process? And also, there's going to be an app for this BRT, correct? There is the mic on? There's going to be an app for the BRT, right?
So I'm going to let Sonia talk about the BPRO question, and then I'll answer the second one.
I wanted to have another question.
So the first portion of the question is if it was going to come through BPRO? Yes. Yes. So all solicitations that are part of the PREMO project will come through either BPRO or whatever we may have in the future. BPRO is our current e-procurement, but it will come through the purchasing e-procurement system, yes.
Thank you.
With
So when you go into the app, do you just say, this is the location I'm trying to get to, and it just tells you what bus stops to go to and where to change or anything like that?
So the app, so first of all, there's not going to be a separate app for BRT system. It's going to be one integrated app, because a lot of people transfer from BRT to, or will transfer from BRT to local bus service or to an express service. We want to make sure it's only one app that you open, and then basically it will help with trip planning as well. So that'll tell you when to get on, when to get off, what time the bus is going to arrive, so that you can actually see it all on one kind of app.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Randy Napick. I'm the BRT practice lead for Arcadis. Thanks, everyone. Great presentations today. Really good. And some questions around the BRT GEC. So you mentioned that was multi-award. You mentioned working with the PMC. So I guess the first part of the question is, do you envision that as kind of a MIG team approach, full service, or do you see selecting based on, categories of service or competencies? Second, wondering if someone could elaborate on the relationship of that team and those services to the PMC work. Thank you.
So thank you for the question. So I will say that we are still working on developing the scope of services for the GEC. And since it is FTA funded, we do have to comply with CCNA requirements as part of this contract. And one of the things that we are looking for this contract to do is do the PD&E work for our BRT corridors. We do have a program management consultant that we brought on board to help us move the PREMO program forward. They are essentially overseeing some of our day-to-day management of our capital projects. So the intention here is that when we bring on this GEC, the GEC contracts, they will be working in coordination with the program management team to make sure that they're all, singing through the same sheet of music, moving the projects along, but the idea is to have that tie-in with our program management firm. I hope that answers your question. Was there? So again, this is we do have a CNA requirement, so that does put a cap on what type of services we could allow for. So we're probably going to be limited to that, and again, more to come on the additional details and the scope of services for that. I'm sorry, I'm being a little vague here. Yeah.
Is it important to have your DBE certification for this specific project?
Well, I'm not sure if everybody is aware that there has been some changes recently to the federal requirements for DBE. So anything that was FTA funded, there are some changes that's going to probably impact DBE. So it's going, I believe the rule that came out on October 3rd, that there is a recertification process that may need to happen in the state of Florida. So we are moving forward with our projects. However, the DBE component may or may not be part of it. Are you saying DBE or DBA? DBE. Okay. No, it all depends. So we go through process through our Office of Economic and Small Business, and they'll make a determination on what we're buying if there is need to have a goal related to it. So it may be CBE, SBE, DBE, it all depends.
Good morning. I have two questions. So the first question is about electric fleet. So can you guys talk about that? Because I've been hearing that for years. BCT planning to go electric. You can hear me?
Could you speak up, please?
Oh, you didn't hear anything?
Electric fleet.
Oh, hello? You can hear now?
Yes, yes.
Yes, I said it's a two-part question. So can you address, I know the county was speaking about purchasing electric fleet for a while, going electric. So can you guys speak about that, getting a new fleet? That's the first part. And the second question is, are there plans for the county to increase more breeds? Like the 101, 441, but they said there was plans to make a university breeze. So can you talk about that? Is it coming back?
All right. I'll start off with the first part. So as we talk about bus electrification, we did look into it at one point, and we're still examining it right now. Bus electrification in the United States is pretty much at its infancy phase. As we looked into it and we did pilot a few buses right now, didn't quite work for our service as needed. However, we're still looking into all types of low emission bus services in order to supplement our fleet. And so I wouldn't cancel out bus electrification, but as we talk about electric buses, CNG buses, hydrogen fuel cells, we're actually looking into each and every type of bus in order to supplement our fleet. And your second question was about breeze service. As he alluded to, as we look at bus rapid transit and high frequency service, the Breeze is a local limited stop service similar to what we're looking into as in our bus rapid transit. And so that's what most of the conversation about BRT. And you were saying university was one of the routes locations that we were planning on implementing bus rapid transit.
Yeah, a little more than the Breeze service with some of the elements that Graham also talked about with dedicated bus lanes, with stations, with passenger information screens, something more enhanced than just a skip stop type service like a Breeze typically does. But we have identified 6 corridors where these types of investments will be made. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay, great.
Good morning, and thank you very much for hosting this event. My name is Stefan Marks. I'm with Connect Point Passenger Information Systems. So my question is for Abhishek, if I may. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Good. Got past that hurdle at any rate. You talked about the sort of the procurement schedule, and you mentioned signage, and signage was mentioned, but there wasn't a specific date or time period for when it was going to be brought to the community of vendors. So the second part of it is, and so I'd be interested or curious to know about what you're thinking about that. And the second part of it is, how will it be incorporated into the overall design for all of PREMO services? So will you basically pick a display technology and say, that's going to be the display technology across the network? And if you could elaborate on that. Thank you.
So thank you for your question for passenger information screens. So it's the way I see it is it's really a two type of screens. One that are part of the BRT program and the station investments. Those can be incorporated as part of the architecture of the stations, and there are various examples where you can have a totem or a shelter at the back of the shelter where those can be incorporated. So that's being implemented as part of the BRT program, included as part of the construction of the BRT system. The second piece, that is the one that we're looking to try it out to pilot at a lot of our bus stops, at our local bus stops, particularly those high ridership bus stops. Those are things that we're going to have to pilot to see how they would work in our bus stops in the various unique locations. The first ones, the schedule for those will be tied to the construction for the BRT program. The second one, the ones that are at the bus stops, that's something we'll have to work with various vendors. I don't quite have a date on when we plan having that, though there are several departments that we'll be working with, particularly the IT team. So again, my goal is to make sure that gets that word gets out before the solicitation hits, so that you all can be prepared to respond to that. But that's our plan in terms of the standalone passenger information screens at bus stops versus the ones that are integrated with the BRT stations.
And if I may ask a follow-up question, since the first BRT line is a design-build project, how should people like me, representing companies like mine, be involved or can be involved with whoever is going to be assigned to be the specific construction or builder of that particular project?
So that's where I highly encourage you to come to our market sounding events. That's where we bring in the potential contractors, consultants, and vendors to make those connections. So that you can meet with those potential contractors, with the other consultants to team up, again, to know when the opportunity would arise and participate accordingly.
Thank you. Zara Pur Abdullahi, WRA. Thank you for the presentation and the information. My question is about the technology and ITS projects that you mentioned. I heard the signal priority and preemption system a couple of times. I was wondering if you have any initiative or thought plan of including connectivity between the vehicle and the infrastructure as part of that. Maybe something that you're considering in the CAD-VO update, or if you can elaborate on that. Thank you.
So we are actually working with our county traffic department to pilot TSP technology on certain corridor. We're still working on trying to get that all set up. We'll be looking to identify one particular corridor to see where transit signal priority could work. As you might know, there are different ways to do TSP. It can be preemption, it could be schedule-based, it could be conditional. And so we're going to be testing that technology, both in terms of how it would work for schedule, as well as how it would work in terms of the hardware, the equipment that we would have to install at the traffic signals, as well as on our buses.
Ryan Mackham from It Again. And so it sounds like, just in general, there's a lot of technology upgrades that are happening on the bus. You have the CAT-AVL, APC, signage, TSP, fare collection. Is Broward looking at open architecture communication standards in order to tie all these systems together, such as information technology for public transit?
Can I lean on my IT friends to answer that?
There's going to be multiple integrations that we have in the CAT-AVL system. They'll be considered optional systems, and we have alluded to some of these that.
Okay. Is it on? My name is James Limaj, and I'm with XPLO Group. My question is for Sonia. Once a company gets shortlisted, like with Broward County, how long does it typically take before the next step and on the award decision?
So it all depends. So once you're registered, that's just basically putting yourself out there that you're open for business. So it's not until a certain commodity or a project comes up that meets the service that or the product that you provide that you'll get a notification that Broward County has a solicitation out there. Of course, you don't just wait for the notifications. Recommendation is to always go out there and take a look to see what we have out on the street. What happens depends on what type of solicitation it is. If it's a bid where we just select an awardee based on price, of course, those go through the process a lot faster, maybe between 3 months or so to get an award. If it's an RFP, it's a much longer process with evaluation and proposals and things like that that needs to happen. So I hope that answered your questions.
We have one down here.
Hello, my name is Manash Varghese with GAI Consultants. I just had a question with regards to the GEC versus, you mentioned design build as well. Do you anticipate the design of any of these projects being done through the GEC, or are they going to be design builds for these corridors?
So we will have to evaluate each corridor on its own merit. A little bit more about the 5 corridors. They're all on FDOT roadway, so we'll work very heavily with the FDOT team to make sure that we can collaborate with them on what type of delivery approach makes most sense. As you may be aware of, the FDOT has a lane repurposing requirement for repurposing a lane of traffic for buses, for transit use. So that's another way we will be working with the FDOT team to get that. So the GEC team will be helping us with that lane repurposing effort as well in working with the FDOT staff. So I hope that answers your question, but in terms of the delivery approach, we'll have to look at the projects one corridor at a time, whether it's a design build or progressive design build, or in some cases it might even be a CMAR type approach.
Thank you.
All right, I think we have time for one last question. I have a quick question here.
Hi, Craig Cipriano, STV Incorporated. Nice to see everyone. Sonia, quick question. Does it cause an issue if one company has multiple registrations on the B-Pro? Sounded like it might.
It does. Well, one thing we will try to do, if we know of known vendors that we want to invite to a particular solicitation, if you have multiple registrations, we will hopefully invite all of them. But what happens, that communication would only come through whoever submitted the bid. So let's say that you have multiple registrations, you may do one, so that communication will only come through you, but you may not be the right person for that particular solicitation. I do recommend that you do have a backup, but maybe have a standard email that goes to everyone in your particular company.
Good morning, Abhishek and team. How are you? My question is regarding the RFP itself. Is it going to be just one general RFP for the design build of the entire project, or would it be separated into, different amenities and different systems that compose the project itself? And also, a second question to that is, if it is one general RFP, would you guys be able to allow like a plan holders list so everybody knows all the vendors and everybody that is planning on bidding or has access to the solicitation? Thank you.
You can probably answer the first part. Okay.
So, yeah, I just want to make sure I understand. When you said RFP, are you talking about the Progressive Design Build RFP or the BRT GEC contract?
Yeah, the BRT with the actual construction of the BRT corridor.
So in terms of the Progressive Design Build contract, can you repeat that first part again? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, basically, is that going to be just one general RFP or contract where it would be one general contractor that then, is in charge of getting all the subcontractors to put the project together? Or are you going to be bidding out or separating the scopes of work, basically, such as the shelters or canopies, totems, I think, or the other systems involved to make the project?
So that's actually one of the questions we'll be asking at the market sounding for the Oakland Park BRT, where it makes sense to do one package or multiple packages. Typically, Progressive Design Build, we would do one package, and then the contractor will have different subs perform different elements, whether it's stations or shelters or technology elements or utility elements. But that's a question that we wanted to, again, get the industry feedback on what would make sense to kind of split that out or have that as one consolidated package. So again, be on the lookout for that market sounding event, and we'll have more conversations about what's the best approach.
And just to answer the second part of your question, one of the features of our e-procurement system allows for primes to identify that they're going to submit a proposal, and you can go at the bottom of a page of a solicitation and see what primes are out there. And I believe that subcontractors could then go in and say, I'm interested in providing or assisting with subcontracting for this particular project. So you can identify who has looked at the solicitation, so you will see other primes that are there, and then also you can reach out to them and say, okay, I'm a sub offering X services, and I would like to be part of your team.
All right.
Hey, thanks. I know you said one more like 3 ago, but we're going to do this. On my agenda, this goes till 12, just for the record. So, hey, we're here for the next hour. My name is Seth, and thank you for hosting this and getting this out to us. I opened my first business in Broward County 16 years ago, and I've had the opportunity to employ over 1,100 people from 23 different nations in that time. This project is dynamic. It's nuanced. It's large. So the questions that both Stefan and, I didn't catch your name, sir, asked, Chris, are critical. One broad RFP feels inefficient, feels insufficient, I should say. And so I know Broward County code allows for unsolicited proposals. And that's why you're having this type of a meeting, to have experts in our fields come in and speak. What's the right process? should we have a solution to a problem that hasn't yet been presented, how would you like us to present those unsolicited proposals?
Through the market sounding event. And I think that's the one where we do allow for open conversations about what makes the most sense. Some of the things that Chris mentioned, that help to break it up into 5 packages or 2 packages, or have a separate work being done by maybe some other entity. I think those are types of conversations we'd like to hear, because I can tell you at the market sounding that we did for the Copen's Garage, we got some terrific feedback. Some we are incorporating as part of the upcoming solicitation, which, by the way, alert that might be coming up here in the next few months. But those are the forums that we'd like to set up to have those types of conversations. So I highly encourage you, because those types of innovative ideas, we want to hear those, and we really want to hear them in those forums, as opposed to once the solicitation is already out on the street, it makes it harder for us to incorporate those ideas. So hopefully that helps.
Staying here till 12, and we have time a little bit more to spend. And hopefully that this can be a good opportunity for you guys to connect with each other, to network. The project team is going to be here to answer any additional questions. So what are the few things that you have to do before I allow you to leave? You have to register as a Broward County vendor if you're not already. Please give us your feedback via the survey that is on the flyer when you came in. And then you have to exchange 3 business cards. Let's just call it that, and then you can go home. But thank you so much for coming, and I really appreciate everyone's time. Thank you.